If you went around and asked USC fans who was in their top 5 candidates list for the defensive coordinator job, I'm fairly certain 2 names would appear on almost everyone's ballot. Former Wisconsin DC Jim Leonhard, who we've already covered in this series, and of course Southern California native and national title-winning defensive coordinator Dave Aranda. Dave is a guy that was a top choice by many to fill SC's head coaching vacancy in 2021. He's as respected and as accomplished as they come, with local ties that would undoubtedly help lock up some of the local talent. If you still have your reservations about hiring Dave, sit back, learn about his experience, scheme, and philosophy, and at the end of the video, let me know your opinion on this move. Let's go. What's up, guys? My name is Gabe, and welcome into the Trojan Blade. We are diving into episode 3 of our defensive coordinator candidate series. And of course, we are talking about current Baylor head coach and former LSU and Wisconsin defensive coordinator Dave Aranda. I am a huge fan of both the man and the coach that Dave is. But before we go any further, I would like to announce that channel memberships here on the Trojan Blade are live. Next to the channel name below this video, you'll see a join button where you can join the TB tailgate and get access to USC themed badges and emojis that you'll be able to use on the channel, both in the comment section and also in the live chat when eventually I do start live streaming. You'll also get access to exclusive posts and status updates, as well as seeing your name on the screen in every single video. So check that out. Thank you so much for being here. Let's get into it. So Dave Aranda, I'll start this out by saying that if USC were able to pull this off and hire Coach Aranda, it would be an absolute home run. As far as coordinators go, you won't find a bigger name in the sport, which in terms of recruits and their families, name recognition is an enormous factor with getting in the door. With Alex Grinch, very few of the nation's top defensive recruits would take you seriously. Hiring Aranda provides a proven name that immediately tells the college football world we are a serious program that is dedicated to having the best defense possible. One thing that gets lost on many people is that some people are great head coaches but terrible coordinators. The other side of that is that some people are great coordinators but terrible head coaches. Aranda has proven time and time again that he is an elite defensive coordinator. The fact that his stint at Baylor hasn't worked out to this point is not reflective of his abilities as a coordinator. These are 2 entirely different jobs we're talking about here. You might be the best car salesman out there. It doesn't mean you'd be good at running the dealership. So with that in mind, let's go back a bit and talk about Aranda's background. Like I mentioned earlier, he is a Southern California native. He actually graduated from the same high school as my dad in Redlands High School. He ended up going to Cal Lutheran, and he was actually a GA at Texas Tech under Mike Leach from 2000 to 2002. Lincoln was obviously a player there in 2002, so they do have a history. Aranda then climbed the coaching ranks and got his first big job in 2013 when he became Wisconsin's defensive coordinator. He was there from 2013 to 15, and in those 3 years, his defense only allowed an average of 289 yards per game, which was first in the nation over that time period. They only allowed 16.9 points per game, which was number 2 nationally. Only 180 passing yards a game, that was number 3 in the country. And 110 rushing yards, which was 4 in the country. So just elite there. In his last year at Wisconsin in 2015, they only gave up 13 points a game, which is just crazy to think about. So yeah, to say he did an outstanding job there would be an understatement. He then moved up again, becoming the LSU defensive coordinator in 2016. So Aranda was the defensive coordinator at LSU for 4 years, and he had 18 players picked in the NFL draft. 18 defensive Tigers were draft picks. Crazy. In that magical 2019 year for LSU, he really changed his defensive philosophy. Because the offense was so incredible, he really upped the aggression, which I know might scare you based on what Alex Grinch was talking about the entire time he was at SC, but Aranda just did it better in every single possible way. During his time in Baton Rouge, the Tigers consistently had one of the best rush defenses in the conference as well. They got a bunch of picks, and obviously they won a lot of big games. And of course, all of that capped off with a big national title win. He then became the head coach at Baylor, and in 2021, he led Baylor to a 12-win season capped off with a Big 12 championship. So he's had success at every stop. That success has varied, especially as a head coach, but we talked about that earlier. I'm not concerned with that. Now, scheme-wise, this is a base 3-4 that runs a ton of variance and really gives an offense a bunch of confusing looks. They're really very unpredictable and super hard to deal with. You'll see 3-4, 3-3-5, 2-4-5. He really does it all. There's blitzes coming from everywhere. There's disguised coverages. It's a very complex defense, but as opposed to Alex Grinch, when you watch them, all the players actually know what they're doing, which, yeah, as it turns out, is kind of important. But like I've said multiple times in this video so far, big-time coordinator, and the way you look at how former players talk about Aranda, it really shows you the quality of human he is. I have a clip here that I want to play of him talking about his daily approach that I found really interesting. Have a listen.
Always good at just being. You know, I think sometimes being is hard to describe. Being, I guess, would be like being okay with uncertainty, being okay with high risk, high reward, being okay with the good and bad. And so for me, a lot of this journey now, the journey that I'm on right now, has been coming to grips with being and seeing the strengths in that. And I think especially in our profession, right, I think the doing piece is so celebrated that for me it was hard to wrap my arms around my strengths and just being okay with stuff and being. The more that I've been able to work on it and really think about this, the more I've been able to accept it and see that being and doing is a partnership, and that when you accept your gifts, you can get both feet in the ground, look people in the eye, and emerge as you. And I think, when I talk to the team, I talk to them about, man, I'm not asking you guys to do anything that I'm not trying to do. I think they feel and sense kind of a becoming with me.
Now, I don't know the guy personally, of course, but he just comes across as genuine, caring, but also intense enough to really get the best out of his players. I really think he'd be a grand slam, and the thing to watch would be to see the reaction of other fan bases when the hire was announced. This wouldn't be just a solid hire. This would be a fear-instilling hire. Only a few guys can have that effect, in my opinion. Jim Leonard's one of them, Phil Parker at Iowa's one of them, and then Dave Aranda, obviously, of the semi-realistic options, that is. But there is one thing that I haven't addressed, and I know there's just a huge question out there that's on all your guys' minds. My man Mike on Twitter asked me this. He says, not sure if you included this in your analysis, but is it too soon to hire another bald DC? People are asking. Guys, I know Grinch has made it very hard to trust bald people. I was walking down the street the other day and I saw someone bald and I immediately wanted to start screaming at him. It's normal, but we need to remember, bald people are people too. So let's try to have an open mind. Maybe he'll have to wear a wig for the first few years on the job. I don't know. But guys, you've heard my pitch. Please let me know your thoughts on Coach Aranda, and if you think he's the right man for the job. Make sure to let me know what other candidates you want to see videos on as well. Thank you all so much for being here. You're all awesome, and as always, take care and fight on.